What's up, humans, and welcome back to Small Talks, where I use my own life experience and a little bit of research in order to answer real-life issues and questions. Last time we talked about how to be more adventurous and even had David on here and asked him a few questions based on his travels around Europe. But this time we're going to talk about something that's very serious and affects a lot of people. I want to preface this with the fact that I am not an expert in any of the fields that I talk about, so my advice should never replace that of a true professional. However, maybe what I say can open your mind a little or help in a way that you didn't expect. So let's actually break this down a little. Today we're going to talk about one of two similar but very different things. Panic attacks. And we're going to address anxiety attacks in the next video. Most people use these words interchangeably, however, they're very different in a few key ways. According to Michigan Health, anxiety attacks are actually, simply put, anxiety. Excessive persisting worry over an imminent event such as death or illness, or even minor events such as being late or another uncertain outcome. Symptoms include fatigue, being extremely aware of what's happening around you, restlessness, and irritability. This is like when you're about to give a speech in front of an audience and you have sweaty palms and are worrying about whether your presentation is going to pass or not. Panic attacks, however, are sudden short bursts of intense fear, often marked by shortness of breath, increased heart rate, or brief chest pain. They usually last less than 30 minutes and can happen seemingly without reason. One of the crazy things about these two things is the fact that they can happen at the exact same time. And panic attacks can be brought on by a sense of anxiety. I personally have experienced both anxiety attacks and panic attacks that have been both extremely debilitating or fairly manageable. But for today, like I said, we're going to address how to handle panic attacks. I've been dealing with panic attacks for a large portion of my life. I used to wake up in the middle of the night unable to describe what was going on. But it wasn't until probably a few years ago when I started to have them in the middle of the day, although they were quite infrequent. Recently, in fact, I was visiting Tokyo, Japan, when I had a panic attack in the middle of a busy metro station. Because of the sudden onset of the attack, and because I was surrounded by hundreds of people, I became very anxious and I just wanted to curl up into a ball in the middle of the floor. I had no idea where the attack came from, as I was used to using the railways by then, and I had already been through lots of busy areas. But I did know what I was feeling, and that the only one who could help me was me. For those of you who have never had one, I'll go ahead and explain it for you. Not everyone experiences panic attacks the same way, but for me, time seems to take on a different flow or movement. Like it's moving slow and fast at the same time. And my body is somewhere in the middle, but is fluctuating on either side. And my limbs seem to lose all strength. And I start to feel like I can't see straight, like I'm looking through water, but I'm not actually looking through my own eyes, but up and above from behind my head. While this sounds like it would be fun and cool, it's actually rather terrifying, because what accompanies this is a feeling like I don't control my own movements or what goes on around me. This builds into an intense fear of anything and everything, and I lose the ability to focus on whatever it is that I'm doing at the time. There's a million other feelings and sensations that accompany this, but I honestly couldn't put it into words. After some time though, depending on the severity of the attack and depending on what's going on around me, the feelings eventually subside and I start to return to being able to function and behave like myself again. Now, for those of you who experience these things, or know someone who does, I wish that I could tell you I knew how to prevent them 100% of the time, or that you would never have to experience one again. What I can tell you, though, is that I've found ways that help me and usually lessen the amount of time that it takes for one to subside. When I feel one building from a low place, I don't try to ignore it. Why? Because it just never works. Instead, I excuse myself from whatever's going on and find my way to a quiet and secluded place where I won't feel like everybody's watching me. This helps to not add additional anxiety or fear of anybody around me. When I feel like I can't slow myself down anymore, I use a monotonous task in order to establish a rhythm or a pattern that my heart can align with. I count my fingers, or the tile on the ground, or something around me that I can visually see. While doing this, I breathe in slowly for 3, and out for 3. And I repeat this. The reason that you do it slowly is so that you don't rush it, because rushing just makes things worse. Now, this doesn't immediately snap me out of it. However, this keeps everything from escalating. Over time, things kind of subside and you can continue on with the rest of your day, but usually feeling a little bit more tired than before. Now, if you don't have panic attacks, but you know someone who does, or you're here to help someone else through a panic attack, here's what works for me. When someone has a building panic attack or is in the middle of one, the biggest thing to never do is invalidate what they're going through. The person experiencing it already knows that they shouldn't be, but they are. The next biggest thing is to remain calm. If you start behaving erratically or overly energetic in your response to their attack, they're going to feel like they're in a much more negative position than they already are, and things are going to get much worse. Once you're calm and accepting of what they're going through, then you can help them. Calmly walk up to them and ask if you can help, and if they agree, lightly rub their back, tell them everything's going to be okay, and that this is going to pass with time. Help them find something that they can align their heart rate with, like counting or music that has a slow rhythm. If you can, offer them water to drink. Don't try to rush them through anything, or don't try to force them to do anything, because this is going to only aggravate the attack. Over time, they'll slowly return to reality, and you both can return to your respective days. What works for me doesn't necessarily work for everybody, so what did the experts say? For self-aid, the Anxiety and Depression Association of America says to breathe deeply, in through your nose, hold it, and release. They also say to relax your muscles. Slowly focus on relaxing one at a time until your whole body is relaxed. And to prevent it in the future, they recommend to notice the triggers and to continuously expose yourself to them in order to desensitize and get used to them. And PsyCom says something very similar to this. Along with relaxation and deep breathing, they say to distract yourself from the symptoms. Use something like counting backwards or counting loose change in your pocket. You could also use grounding by focusing on what you can see, and then what you can feel, and then what you can smell, and then what you can taste. And then the last tip that they give is to focus on the panic and imagine moving it away from your core and out into your extremities. And for those of you who are helping someone else through an attack, licensed psychologist Sheila Josephs says to first make sure that they understand that they aren't in any danger and that they're in a safe environment. She says to do this while displaying a calm behavior and to let them know that it will pass with time, and to just stand by them, giving them a familiar presence. She then says to not let them avoid anything in the future, any triggers in the future, because avoidance leads to worsened anxiety and panic when they're ultimately faced with them. And really, that's it. Remember that over time, these attacks will pass and life can go on. If you're having recurring panic attacks, please go see a professional. Originally, this video was going to include anxiety attacks. However, as this video is already rather long, it's going to be part of the next video, so make sure to keep your eyes open for that. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I hope that this helps those of you who do deal with panic attacks to handle them easier. And if it does, or if you have tips for something that helps you, let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of life's problems resolved, or share this with somebody that you think could benefit from it. If you have a question for me, or if you have a suggestion for my channel, please let me know in the comments below or hit me up on social media. I hope to see you sometime soon. Thanks for joining me for Small Talks.